They just guess and they build it and they observe people's behavior. Like if they use it, that means we guess it right. If they don't use it, that means we build it wrong. But the speed of building is so fast, we just rip it apart and build it again.
So, I mean, that's a balancing act, right? Is whereby there's terminal velocity before you start breaking things, right? So
Yeah.
it's good to do experimentation.
I wanted to also ask you a question about how do you turn the product around when you say they have trouble and stuff, maybe not product market fit or something. Does user experience or user feedback play a role in your way of turning things around, or something else play a role in that?
There is it's a feature that we need to deliver, next quarter for the roadmap. It's an enhancement, or like let's say customer support tickets have come in and customers are complaining about something. Well, can you listen to them, but also be able to integrate something to actually see them use it and validate whether their complaint is valid or not.
Welcome to UX Story. I'm your host, Lihong Hicken. I've spent my career obsessed with how we understand what users actually think. So when Chris and I helped scale usertesting.com from zero to IPO, we thought we had it figured out. But AI has changed everything. Now, the speed of building is now 10 times faster than the speed of listening. So Chris and I built they said, we want to use vibe testing to match the speed of vibe coding. I'm here to talk to builders who want to ship products that users love. So my guest today is Jonathan Abon. And Jonathan, you host many titles. You work in many renowned organizations as a CPO. I will let you introduce your story to our audience. And most important, my audience and I want to know, like, who are you as a product builder and what is your mission in building these products for the users?
Good. Well, thanks, Lee Hong, for having me on the podcast. It's an honor to be here, and it's my first podcast, so to speak. So be gentle, so to speak. So yeah, so my background. So I'm an engineer at heart. So building things is part of who I am. But as a product leader or product builder, as you would say, I help B2B companies, X as a service product companies or business units, fix underperforming product portfolios that have unclear financial trade-offs or disconnected product roadmaps. And in doing so, I help improve revenue, margins, and cash flow while, especially in the age that we live in, while confidently scaling into an ML/AI driven set of offerings. Given the fact that my graduate degree in engineering just so happens to be neural networking and AI, which is close to 30 years ago when no one wanted to talk about AI. Now all of a
Yes.
sudden it's a sexy thing to do. So
Yes.
so having said that, my deep expertise in both hardware and software-based products, along with long tenure I've owned my own company as an entrepreneur, software company in ERP and in healthcare. Plus, like you said, I've been in multiple industries. I see patterns of different product challenges, but my core is really to help turn things around and improve revenue margins and cash.
That's interesting. Jonathan, I like that. There's a couple of things I want to unpack here, Jonathan. That's rich history here. You mentioned that you help B2B companies, software companies, turn things around. That's what your expertise. One thing I want to know is like, what's wrong with the B2B SaaS company today? I probably see a lot of companies see like stock market tank, you know, maybe this is a temporary thing, but I'm seeing like with AI, with vibe coding, and that I see that there's a belief where people think like any software that, if a business wants software, the day where they will pay expensive license for tools like Salesforce or whatever is over, and they can just use AI to build a custom software for themselves. And I just want to, because you have a lot of experience in building B2B software products, of what do you see the future of the B2B software companies?
Yeah. So first, let's define what the software as a server or X as a service versus AI-centric application. So I think to me, in layperson's terms, X as a service application or product is where the human being still is doing a lot of the work, the manual entries, and the usage of the application. And there's a certain predominantly a consumption-based business model, right?
Uh-huh.
Whereas more, and again, it's not done yet. I mean, we have a lot of maturity to lots of learning in an AI centric world whereby the human and machine are working together, right? And from a business model, from a monetization perspective, yes, there's consumption, but we don't know how to really tie the consumption of AI to the actual business because there's still you can abuse the underlying technology and consumption. So to me, that's the balancing or this difference between an access to service versus AI application. And the challenges that I see, especially in multiple industries with respect to AI, is that, and you mentioned vibe coding and vibe testing, is that the good news is that it's easier or more efficient to get things going. Actually, AI is improving the productization and creativity and delivery, right? So, and there's three ways I look at it, whereby AI helps with market and business analysis become more efficient.
Mhm.
Another is whereby it enables more reusability and standardization, literally, especially for development. And
Yeah.
the third is that it reduces the time between ideation and productization because there's lots of tools in
The
doing so,
entry
right?
level to do business now is less now.
Exactly. So
Yes,
you
it
can
is.
compress that time. The challenge that remains to be seen is that how do you sustain that speed when
Mm.
your product is already being used by hundreds of thousands of people and then you're making changes, and especially in the B2B world whereby your product is businesses are dependent on it, right? So how do we make
Mhm.
sure that A, you don't break anything that you shouldn't be breaking, B, you're not disrupting the business, basically business continuity, and C, from your perspective, the users still are getting that delightful experience from it, right? Whereby, you know, oh my gosh, the one extreme is that, oh my gosh, this thing is taking over my job, so to
Yeah,
speak, right?
I
So
see.
those are the challenges that I see that we face.
So to summarize, it's like the traditional SaaS product is like a software consumption that you build software for human to use, and the
Yep.
AI world is more like maybe you build an AI agent or some kind of AI workforce that work with humans. So it's the kind of not like a tool, but more like an additional
Yeah, a symbiotic relationship between
yeah,
the two.
relationship between the two. That's interesting. But I agree with you. Is like a lot of our guests on the call is like, yes, AI is easy to get started and get going, but without a company build well managed software, the open source or the freemium tools, if no one manages, it's kind of hard to keep it consistent
Right,
quality and get going. So
right.
I think we are aligned with it. So I wanted to also ask you a question about how do you turn the product around when you said they have trouble and stuff, maybe not product market fit or something. Does the user experience or user feedback play a role in your way of turning things around or something else
Oh,
play a role in this?
absolutely. There needs to be this closed loop feedback. There's what we've been doing is that we do, user research, we do NPS, and we do some types of things. So we get the feedback from users, right? But to me, so that thing is still good. But to me, in the world that we live in, whereby things are fast and faster, actually, I was talking to a colleague, a former colleague of mine, whereby, and I'm perhaps this is maybe an improper example, but I'm going to use it because I think a lot of people can relate to it. Remember when several years back when there was a story about Target whereby they were able to send coupons to a household for baby products.
Oh, right.
Remember that?
And then they discover that the kid
Yes,
pregnant.
pregnant,
Oh,
exactly, right?
no. Yes.
So they knew that someone was pregnant based on the buying behavior before the even
Before the
that
parents
person
even know. Oh my
their
god,
parents
yeah.
even knew, right? So to me, that's the kind of the mental model whereby how do we infuse products, be it hardware and software, whereby we know that the person or the user is happy or unhappy from it, right? So
Right.
therefore, there needs to be some instrumentation as part of your product, whereby what I've used usability index scoring, whereby you're scoring the user experience almost in a real time basis. And based on the scoring and the data you're collecting, you're able to infer whether certain type of user personas or a broad set of users are happy or unhappy with the experience with the product. So to me, I call it the target effect.
How do
How do
you
you
do
have the target effect? into the
let,
product,
let,
right?
Jonathan, let's dive in a little bit more a detailed case and on like today's, I call it the new way of building product, the vibe coding method. So in the old ways, when we do product building, we do a lot of research, customer discovery, pain points, what it needs. We build prototype, right? We send it, we put it in front of people, let them click the prototype, seeing what's going on. We watch the users interact with the user, listen to what they say. This is what user testing.com was doing, right? Unmoderated user testing, turn around quickly, and then build on top of it before we even send to engineering team. And when it's live, you continue to get a live feedback from your customers. Now, I've talked to a lot of vibe coders, and they said the way today, because the speed of building is so fast now, engineering time doesn't need to be protected. Today, they said the feedback they get, sure, they collect customer feedback, but they collect survey feedback, they collect product usage feedback. They no longer do the research of like what customer want, what customer need. They no longer build a prototype, put in front of the users, validate before they build it. They just build it. And then the
Right.
product usage data is their data they use to validate. So what do you think about this process? Like,
No, no, so good point. I think it depends. So the answer is it depends. So of course there's this, I mean, if you this generic statement that vibe coding enables more efficient prototyping, and I would say what it calls ideation or conceptualizing. I agree with that, right? The challenge that I see, especially in the B2B world, is that you have some prototype, but you're asking your users to spend their precious time
to use it.
just, to use it, right?
Right.
And time is the most precious commodity, right?
Right.
So to me, the answer to your question is that it really depends on the ideal customer profile or the user or the persona that you're going after. So if you have friendly users or customers that they're willing to spend time on some concept and provide feedback, more power to you, go for it, right? But imagine the world whereby now the same user is getting bombarded by so many people asking them to test these things like, okay,
Feedback, yeah, mhm.
feedback, they become numb to feedback, right?
Right.
So now it's just overwhelming. They become numb to it, and then now you get garbage feedback, or you don't get feedback at all. They're like,
I
I'm done.
I
I'm done
mean, that
providing
right
feedback.
now, they just don't get feedback before they build it. They just guess, and they build it, and they observe people's, behavior. Like, if they use it, that means we guess it right. If they don't use it, that means we build it wrong, but the speed of building is so fast, we just rip it apart and build it again.
Right, right, right. So I mean, that's a balancing act, right? Is whereby there's terminal velocity before you start breaking things, right? So
Yeah.
it's good to do experimentation. If it becomes so apparent to the user that you're just, you know, basically see what sticks on the wall, that
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
you throw it on the wall and see what sticks. I think that's a danger in vibe coding in the world that we live in, whereby you just see the sticks. So there needs to be a balancing act of proper due diligence, right?
Right.
It's not like we don't have the data. So you have your user, so you can do some historical analysis of what users like, what they don't like. You can do a customer needs mapping. I still believe in the jobs to be done, right? What is the canonical user flow? There's some first principles that you still need to abide by, or I think you should abide by, but then you weave in there depending on the user, depending on time, depending on the use case. Okay, test it out and learn an iterative. But to me, it's a balancing of those two things.
Balancing, yeah. I think if you just only listen to survey feedback alone, it's like you're basically taking your customer's word for it, because sometimes I watch the user testing video, the customer say, "Oh, this is very easy, 5 out of 5." I was like, "I'm watching you. You're doing it wrong. You understand this completely wrong, but you're explaining to me." And I was like, this feature is not intended for this, but you will never get it if you're just
Yeah,
watching a section replay or watching a survey, and then you end up building the wrong thing for the wrong audience. I just think no matter how fast your speed is, if you're running
yeah,
toward the wrong direction,
still
it's
you're wrong. It's still wrong.
yeah, yeah. So Jonathan, in today's world, like, speed, so fast, like, what do you think is the best, like, balance? You talk a lot about balance. Like, in your ideal world, like, what is the best way where you can make sure a proper feedback is implemented in the product building process, making sure you're building the right product for the right people? Is something like usability testing still have value in today's age, or is it something like old school people that do. What do you think?
To me, I think there's still value in usability testing. I do believe that. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to oversimplify things because I know this world it's very subjective, right? But if I were to processize it, and which I found to have worked in the past for me, the first one is that you need to have a good enough understanding of your customer needs, right? So especially in the B2B world, it's either you're helping them make money or you're helping them save money, preferably both, right?
Mhm,
So how can you tie what they're doing to that market or business imperative, right?
mhm.
So I'm using your product and I'm doing some task, but this task has to be tied to either making money or saving money or preferably both. So there needs to
Exactly.
be so that's
You
one
need
thing
to
that
solve
needs
a
to happen.
business problem for the customers. A problem,
Exactly.
product, people, go to market, like pricing, right?
Exactly.
We call it 4 Ps.
The four piece of marketing, right? So
Yeah.
so that's one. So tie it, you need to understand from a business perspective, but I'll keep it simple. Either you're helping them make money or helping them save money, preferably both. So customer needs mapping. Then from their needs, you compare that with I'll just call it jobs to be done. How do they get their job done, right? Your product is getting hired by your customer, by the user to do a job or a set of jobs. So
Right.
you need to know, you need to have if it's a brand new product or maybe it's an upgrade on an existing product, you need to have a hypothesis on how your product is helping solve a job or a set of jobs. So now
Yes.
you have the business context. Now you have the actual job, right?
Job. So
Between those two,
problem,
right?
product. Yeah. You have those two. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So to me, those are the things that you should have a notional understanding. Now, in the jobs to be done, let's say there's 10 steps to get something, let's say you're doing payroll processing or you're doing some and I don't know, some a 10-step process in the application, right? Now, in those 10 steps, there are baby steps underneath it, right?
Yeah.
You can click here, you enter here, or you do that, whatever that may be. Like even in an agentic AI application, there are still multiple steps that you have to go through, like the prompt or whatever that may be. So therein lies in those baby steps. That's where, to me, that's where vibe coding can help, whereby you can iterate and do fast prototyping, but you're isolating it to a certain spot to see whether this new thing that you're trying to implement is effective or not. And you're not
Mm.
boiling the ocean so that your user, they're still getting their job done. They're still helping make money or save money, but you're testing it. You're deploying innovation at a very surgical level, whereby if you get it wrong, it doesn't have broad
Packed.
negative impact
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
everything
I
else,
see.
right?
So like the core, the
So
direction core needs to be correct.
yeah, so correct. And I know nothing is 100% correct, but if you have a good enough, like the canonical user flow, and you can connect the canonical user flow to a business, either make money or save money, then you can use vibe coding and vibe testing to me at those nuanced, discrete steps underneath it. And that's where you could do iteration.
I
To me, that's the
see.
process. That's the process
That's
I've seen
great.
work, right?
Cool. That's awesome. That's great. That's very practical advice where you can have a very balance of a strategic level of product market fit goal and then allow speed of vibe coding to do experimenting. That's awesome, Jonathan. Let's go into our rapid question period right now. So in your product org, the way you implement that, what's your tech stack for getting feedback right now, including usability tech stack, if you have any?
Yeah, so I wish we could do more. The first one is a good old NPS, right?
Okay.
Net promoter score, right? The one that it's not fully mature. It's what I was able to do it partially in a different company and partially in this company. I've not with some automation is what's called usability index scoring, whereby it's a composite score. It's a composite score that comprise of four measurements. The first one is, are you effective in completing a job or a task, right? Can you get something done? Can you get it done correctly? That's the first score. The second score is efficiency. Just because you can get something done correctly, but if it took you 2 hours, it's still no good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so efficiency.
Hmm.
So effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness is one. The second one is efficiency. Can you get it done in 8 seconds or a minute,
Mm.
maybe?
Yeah.
The third is the human aspect of it, which is basically the concept of a simple ease question. Did you like
Mm.
it or did you not like it?
Ease. Yeah.
Yep. And then the fourth is some form of system usability scoring.
Okay.
So
Okay.
those four score combined with some weighting, there's a formula for this, is your usability index score. The nirvana, the ideal state is to build that scoring in the product itself so that you're able to score things along the way and learn from it, and you'll get the target effect. You
So
know that.
I see that. So you're thinking building in product, almost like tracking users data, usage data. So your current way to know whether or not the customer gets value or use your product properly is NPS score and product usage data to see if they hit these four scores.
That's correct. So the NPS is separate. Usability index scoring is another one. So NPS is a lagging indicator.
Hmm.
Usability index scoring is a leading indicator.
Yes, that's the I NPS is so I got it. But I'm curious, why do you not do usability testing where you watch your users going
Oh,
through your products and listen to what they say and why is
no,
that
good.
lacking?
So to me, that's still needed. The challenge that I've found, though, and maybe this is where you guys can help, but the challenge what I found is that is an expensive thing to do, right?
Yes. So 13 years ago, when we created usertesting.com, per test cost is $19.99 per test. Anyone with a curiosity, a hump, can test your idea, your product, your prototype, and then the test turn around in a day. But now, I don't know if you saw the news 3 weeks ago. Usertesting.com is acquired by private equity firm as well as UserZoom. What users do to interview is the last player got acquired by all the private equity firms. So unless you have a 30K a year, it's expensive. You can't do this, right? So I don't know about you, but in my neighborhood, all the private equity team bought all the laundry mat or whatever. Like you can't do dry
Yeah.
cleaning anymore because they all owned by the same private equity. But the same thing is coming to usability testing world is every single major player in the user testing world is bought by private equity firm. And that's becoming very expensive. And then also it does take some effort to like recruit the people, run the test, watch the
Yep.
video, and then it just make it worse because vibe coders had no patience. They're like, I want the
Yes.
feedback quickly. So I see a whole generation of people that just like, screw it. I'm just going to use NPS. I'm going to use product usage data. That's what I see across the board right now. But I'm seeing it's suffering because there's a huge value in watching and observing your users use your product and listen to them. Like, does it solve their problem? Sure, it's easy, but that's not what I
Sure.
wanted to use.
Sure.
So that's why so Chris and I are coming back and we're building an AI successor of usertesting.com. And we are trying to bring back the $19.99 test back to the community, pay as you go or like a free plan. So
That's awesome.
if you guys are interested for any people who are listening, go to theysaid.io. You can sign up for a free account. You can get 5 user tests for free per month. And
What is it? Can you tell me again? What is it? User
they
test data.
said they set the IO. Here they set the
They said.
IO. Yes, we haven't changed our pricing, but you can go in, sign up an account, and for
uh,
every account, you can test 5 free per month. And then if you want to do more, it's pay as you go. So it's the lowest price possible. So we actually recently changed our pricing when we heard an announcement that usertesting.com acquires user interview, which is the last player in the space that offers pay as you go pricing. They don't do usability tests, they offer recruiting, right? But I think their test is like $49 per B2C, $99 for B2B. So our test coming in $39 per test if you want to recruit, B2C. And we also have free tests if you want to test with the AI testers or your own customers. The idea is like we need to get close to hear what users think. We
mhm.
can't be like just guessing, like infer. Like we're going back to the infer days. Like that was 13 years ago. At the whole industry is in the inferred era. I can't believe we're going back to the infer days. And in the day where we're building so fast, we're just making mistakes faster. So
Yeah.
that's not ideal. So anyway, thank you for asking. So Johnson, I know you are helping, company and started turning around, do you feel like having access to a faster, a closer loop of customer feedback would actually help your customer like turn things around, understand their users better,
I
stuff like
think
that?
so. I think so. Those two words of customer centricity that gets thrown around. I think what you just described or what they said that IO can offer is further or improvement in customer centricity. Like you're actually listening to them. So short answer is yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, so if you know there's option, if pricing isn't a problem for you guys and speed powered by AI isn't the problem, if you have a magical wand, what is one thing that can make gathering feedback and so dramatically easier for you and your clients to make your product even more awesome?
So again, in software application, whereby a tool like this, first there's the consent, right? So people need to provide consent that they're either going to be watched or they're going to
Yeah.
be measured, right? So
Yeah.
that privacy and security is paramount. So first, you need to be transparent with that. Second, once they provide consent, how easy is it to integrate something like this as part of a product whereby you choose as a, let's say from a product management perspective, hey, I want feedback for this specific workflow because we're going to focus on that. Or maybe under roadmap, there is a feature that we need to deliver, next quarter for the roadmap. And it's an enhancement. Or like, let's say customer support tickets have come in and customers are complaining about, something. Well, can you listen to them, but also be able to integrate something to actually see them use it and validate whether their complaint is valid or not.
Oh, I
So
see. Yeah, you want to see and hear like is that complaint is a real problem or it was just a problem between keyboard and chairs. I don't know. You joke about
exactly,
that. Okay,
exactly,
got it.
exactly. Because typically what happens is that, and I mean, it's a valid concern because customers are customers, whereby it's a knowledge gap. They didn't know, they weren't trained, they didn't know how to use it,
You
right?
just need to do user tests. That is the whole solution is you just do the user test, you can observe, hear them thinking about this
Yep.
because if you do section replay, sometimes you see the section you can only guess what they're trying to do. You don't know why. But if they
Yeah.
can talk to you and do that, that makes sense. This is great. I will wrap up with the last question and then we will end the recording. So, Johnson, what is the most fulfilling thing for you as a product builder?
The most fulfilling thing when I see the user, the customer, where they're so delighted with your product that it just becomes an organic part of their day-to-day work. They just use it, right? It's part of their job. Maybe whereby they become advocates of your product. Like, oh, yeah, I get this. My career, their your their resume. Maybe if I could, their resume would actually say your product, right?
That would be
Like,
amazing. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They said certified. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Cool. That's awesome. That's what my dream too is. I have joy if our product really solve a real problem for the customers, have a real impact to their life and the
yep.
being associated with your brand. That's amazing. Cool, Johnson. Thank you very much for spending the time with our audience. And thank you so much for your first podcast with us. I think you did it well. We chatted away, we share our truth, we share our concern and what we are looking forward for how we think the world should build products. So I think the audience really like our today's conversation.
Ready.
All right. Thank you, Johnson.
Thank you.